News of that gruesome attack came one day after President Joe Biden ordered the Justice Department to establish an initiative to address the national spike in anti-Asian hate crimes. According to a report from a Stop AAPI Hate, nearly 4,000 incidents were reported to the organization from March 2020 until the end of this past February. They also note that the number is, quote, only a fraction of the number of hate incidents that actually occur. Joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Grace Meng of New York. She's the first vice chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. She recently introduced legislation supported by the president that aims to combat anti-Asian bigotry and all forms of hate. Also with us, columnist for USA Today and the LA Times, Kurt Bardella. Good to have you both on board. Grace Meng, I'll start with you and this bill. What does it do and how does it focus on anti-Asian hate?
First, thanks for having me, and it's good to be on with Kurt. This legislation is something that I've proposed with Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii, and it would basically provide dedicated personnel to take a look at these sorts of cases coming into the Department of Justice. Right now, it's very much a state-by-state basis. There's no streamlined process. It would also make it easier, provide guidance locally to make it easier for victims to even report these incidents.
Kurt Bardella, this latest incident, it's hard to watch. It's also hard to watch the person closing the door and walking away. And I don't know, when you see something, say something should apply to hate, shouldn't it? And you have a question for the Congresswoman.
You know, Mika, you'd like to think that no matter who it is, white, black, Hispanic, Asian American, whoever, if someone's being attacked, that you would step in and do something. I mean, where's your humanity in all of this? You're right. It's just it's so tough to watch. And I'm just as upset at the people who don't do anything in these situations, who literally close the door as a violent act is being perpetrated on an innocent and defenseless person, as I am at the person who's actually doing the attacking. I mean, we all have to step up here. We all have to get involved. And to that end, Congresswoman, I remember last fall, you introduced a resolution that sought to just simply acknowledge that Asian Americans were coming under siege of hate crimes. Just acknowledge that this is a rising crisis that our community is facing. And something like 164 Republicans in Congress voted against that measure. They wouldn't even give us the respect to acknowledge that this is a real crisis and threat to our community. So I wonder, as you now move forward and try to put forward this legislation, where are your Republican colleagues on this? Because from the demonstration we saw from them in that Oversight Committee hearing the other week, not all of them are in tune with the reality of what's going on.
Well, I appreciate the question. I do want to quickly address the first part of your comment. We are now learning from a longer video that I got to see that the personnel in the building shut the door to protect the residents because I think the attacker was still outside with a knife. And as soon as the attacker left, they did go out to flag down help. And with the resolution, you're absolutely right. I was really disheartened last year. We really tried to make that resolution something that was non-political. I didn't even put the former president's name in the resolution. But you know what? I'm still hopeful. Times are different. The former president is no longer in office. Incidents have increased. People are hearing from their constituents in both Republican and Democratic districts. I have had a few Republicans reach out asking if I was going to introduce that resolution again. And so I'm really hopeful that maybe that means that there's some willingness to work together on what absolutely should be a bipartisan issue.
Congresswoman, it's Willie Geist. It's great to see you this morning. Obviously, the entire country and we as New Yorkers were horrified seeing that video that came out. And thank goodness they arrested the man, and thank goodness that she's already been released from the hospital. It could have been much worse. But I have to say, walking around Midtown now, I find myself keeping an eye on my neighbors, people of Asian descent, especially people who are a little bit older. How did we get to this place, and how do you get to the root at something? The legislation is one thing, but how do you get to the root of that kind of hate?
Well, that's a really good question, and that's why we put out the symbolic resolution last year. We needed to take an early and public stance condemning that sort of bigotry and hate early on. But the former president just kept hammering home the language of incendiary language that fueled bigotry. Yes, we're working on legislation. We're also thankful to local organizations here in New York, like the Asian American Federation. They're promoting programs that would help with bystander training and in-language assistance with mental health. The solution is not simple. It is complicated. It's going to take a lot of work on the ground and also through legislation.
All right, Congresswoman Grace Meng, thank you very much. And Kurt Bardella, thank you as well. This is an important story, and we will stay on it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.